everybody! Welcome to my stream. I'm Felicia Day, and this is Felicitations Book Club with Bonnie Burton. Hi, everyone.
I have a new mic.
Ooh, you got real close and sexy there, Bonnie.
Does it echo? Is everyone going to leave bad comments that I'm echoing?
Bonnie,
is it okay?
I want to tell you one comment again.
I got my feelings hurt. My feelings are really
on
really
the YouTube output said something critical, and I'm like, you buy better equipment, sir. Who's getting? I'm assuming it's a sir.
I don't know.
Who's like, we're doing this free book club, okay? So, Bonnie, I don't know if you saw. Let me make sure we're out.
Okay.
Okay, good. Cleveland's there.
Can everyone hear us? Do you want to go to the chat and see if everyone can hear us?
Yes, everybody's there. And if you are listening on a podcast later, I am going to be doing a felicitations next week. I would be doing it this week, but my daughter decided she didn't like the outdoors camp that I sent her to, and she's watching her all week. So that's great. Paid for that.
Huh. You know what? That is the I don't know if you're watching the new Justified that just went live. It's a prequel. I think it's a sequel to the other Justified series. But this time he's in Detroit, and I feel like that is he's in Miami first, and then he goes to Appalachia, and then he's in Detroit. So this is the new one. He's older. He has a daughter. I have a point to all this. He has.
You don't have to wait. Your mic like that. You could just look at the camera.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Is this a brand new mic for Bonnie? Yeah. If you can hear heavy breathing, and then it turns into a cold. It doesn't record it.
Wait a minute. Is that better?
No, not for my demographic. What is the new Justified thing?
Oh. So the new Justified, but it starts with him trying to take his teenage daughter to summer camp. And she doesn't. She calls it prison. She calls it juvie conversion camp. It's not.
How old is his daughter?
Camp.
How old is his daughter?
I want to say she's like 15. But she's kind of a juvenile delinquent type person. So it's just, I was going to read that comment, but now I feel like I'm adding to the.
Why are you giving any verification to some douchebag when you have many watching us live, loving us?
Okay.
Stop it, Bonnie.
Okay.
I'll ban.
Oh yeah, here it is. Here it is. It was like, how many years have you been podcasting and you're lying on your PC's mic? Stop waiting for Felicia to send you one. Get one yourself. For fuck's sake, this one's unlistenable. If you turn it up to hear you, your ears blow out when Felicia talks. The end. A lot for that Noel Thorne 1984 because you ruined my month. I was just like, should I be on camera?
Bonnie?
Should I retire?
Bonnie, I'm really mad at you right now that you.
I know.
Person, and I don't want to have to go in here and edit this. I don't.
Okay. Forget it. Forget everything I said except for the Justified thing. Go watch it on FM.
But why?
Timothy Oliphant.
For years, I cared about what random people thought. Did you see my Instagram video this week about? Of course, out of the thousands over the weekend at Comic-Con, 3 of them really stuck out of my mind, and they were all JERK. So.
Oh no!
But it was funny. I tried to make it fun, and it was funny at the time because in the before times, I would not even think about this because I'm so like, I have like a skull of politeness on, and so even like the insulting things that I don't think any of these people I don't know if it's deliberate. I think it's a pattern of behavior to make people feel smaller around them so they feel better about themselves. And I think they were all older men, but
Yeah, it might be. It's also, I've noticed since COVID or quotes ended because it's not gone, and people are entering the outside world again, I feel like they checked their manners at the door. So now they're just like entitled, kind of rude, also doesn't understand that maybe you're hurting someone else's. And because we're used to Zoom calls and sometimes no video Zoom calls, people have forgot how to read people's expressions. So like, if you
actually true, I think you're right.
If someone's telling you something horrible and your face is slowly melting into despair, they should maybe stop. But I was just at a family reunion.
Yeah.
I don't know. No. I'm also the problem because I was at a family reunion in Kansas. I love my relatives. They may be watching, so I'm not going to say anything that's controversial. However, I haven't been around them since 2021, and I haven't been around all of years. And a lot of them are conservative, and a lot of them are very Christian, which is totally fine. And a lot of them are very, which is that's their call.
Not fine.
But because I'm from California. They think I'm crazy. They don't understand the writer strike at all. So me trying to explain a TV writer strike to people who think TV writers make $1 zillion. Well, and then I have like a couple of relatives that I just met. They're cousins of cousins. They're all step cousins, but they're cousins to me. Old elderly gay couple, 2 men, and I was so thrilled to find my gays at anything that I kind of honed in on them, but I don't know if they were fully out. So I didn't out them, but we did talk about what our subjects are for today in this book, but also
Trixie
drag race
Katya,
in general,
womanhood,
guides to modern womanhood. They're very famous drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, but I also talked about, that I was glad Love is Blind had a lesbian only episode because it really shows that lesbians, which a lot of straights don't know. So I kind of said all that, and I think I said it in earshot of people who may or may not know I'm bisexual, and I think I came out to a cousin who didn't know. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then I'm like upsetting my brother because I'm pretty liberal in what I say, and he's not. And he was gracious enough for him. His wife, who's awesome, and and my niece Riley, who's awesome. Like, am I saying the wrong thing? I was apologizing constantly for being me because I even toned it down a lot.
I mean, Bonnie, I will. We're at a 9 right now, and I feel really bad for you. Again, when I go into situations where I'm constantly like on high alert, fight or flight mode, like for days, generally around people who are, maybe relatives or just in, like, you just can't stop that sort of spiral. And I feel like it's a week for you.
I mean, it just gets, for a week, started in Nebraska to see my mom, who I have not seen face to face for like 12 years, I guess. I talked to her every Sunday on the phone.
Yeah.
She's in an old folks home, and she looked a lot older than I was expecting. She warned me and said, Mom looks old, but that was a lot. And then being around my brother and trying to tone it down because they're all introverts. And we had to 2-hour car ride from Omaha to Emporia, Kansas. From Nebraska to Kansas. And I'm in the back seat with Riley, my niece, who is about to go into college. And we're talking about beauty supplies because I'm like picking to be wearing because it melts off in LA heat. And she was accommodating. But like Katie was asleep in front and my brother was driving, and I could see him in the rearview mirror looking at me, like giving me the stop talking. And when I get nervous, I talk even more. So it was just, I wasn't going to win. And then when I get to like the festival, the reunion, I saw some of my favorite relatives I'm friends with on Instagram, and then people I've never met before, and then people who want me to tone it down even more, and then people that
to tone it down. Like, why are they making you tone it down?
Let's just say
it's not your job to make them comfortable because they're not going out of their way to make.
I mean, I will say my stepsister Ginger's family, they are all extroverts, so I just kind of hang out with them to look like I belong. Brother-in-law Steve is like, I'm probably at a 9 and he's at a 19, so he's like the cable guy. Remember the cable guy? He's Jim Carrey level. He's Jim Carrey level.
What I think is that it sounds awesome that you had that many relatives. I have and it is very separated and there's not. And so it's hard just to have everybody kind of in separate pockets for getting together, It's just like, oh, we visit this person. As an isolationist and somebody who doesn't really like gatherings, I'm okay with it. But I'm sure some people are like, what is going on with this small? Some people have really small families.
Well, my dad. And we never really talk to each other except occasional Facebook. And then my stepmother's side is like humongous amount of people. And she's very, very social. So I just go to like make it. I showed up. I try not to insult anyone. I had a very long conversation with Kevin, who is my guest cousin, and he's super duper pastor guy, and we talked about Hobby Lobby stealing artifacts like a good half hour. He's also an academic, so it was like church academic. So at least I connected. Yeah, I connected on, because when I meet someone who has a weird, unusual job, I will like learn everything about it. So how many pastors, ministers,
in a murder mystery one day, right?
Ding, ding. Sorry. Here's our book.
Look, I do want to brag about one thing. I did get the Ink Pot Award.
Yay!
Which I didn't really know about.
What is it? Explain it. Explain it to people who might not know.
It's just a prestigious award from Comic-Con itself. There's a very small list of people, and other than being on a very short list of very cool creators, Comic-Con for life with a friend. So I'll always be able to go to Comic-Con.
Does that include a hotel? Will they pay for your hotel?
No, not for But the one good thing is that I had removed all awards from my office, because over COVID especially, I was like, I need to shed my past and just become what in the future, because I think sometimes you can be weighed down by what happened before and your idea of who you were, and were great. I got a lot of them in the past, but they're kind of in my past, and I'm excited to forge new ground. And like after making that decision and new projects, it was really cool to Comic-Con with Third Eye, which is my audio project, and we had a packed house, which was really fun. Award presented to me live. We had a lot of Twitch and Discord people in the panel room when I got this, and it was very cool to see all those videos. And anyway, it was a really chill, wonderful Comic-Con, and it's cool that like a turning point for hopefully what is to come in the future.
Can I ask a weird question? Because I was not there, because I was at Kansas Family Con, but so I know the writer strike's still going on, actor strike's going on, and there's all these rules about what you can and cannot talk about. Luckily, you span many genres of things that I think are okay to talk about. But was Comic-Con in a way better because it was like main studios grabbing all the attention? Okay.
Yeah. So
was it old school? Like old school? Comic-Con maybe? Okay.
Anybody who appeared at Comic-Con couldn't talk about their TV and film if they were a SAG actor, and they couldn't talk about their writing projects if they were writing. I'm on double strike, so, and it was Hughes and Jonah Ray who were on the Third Eye panel with me. London played leads, and Jonah was the director. He's also from an acting project that we did together that people might be familiar with. Talk about any of that, and all of us were in the WGA and SAG, so we were like, we cannot talk about any acting or on-camera things, small projects you wouldn't think that would be covered under this, because we really want to support and spread word that this is an amazingly just cause, and we need to strike until the end of the day to get these provisions made, or we're basically have no future in this industry. So, I mean, not going into detail, but it was really actually relieving, because I could talk about all video games, I could talk about animation, I could talk about my Twitch, and I could talk about my audio project. If you guys don't know about it, it's Third Eye, and it's an audio comedy about a failed chosen one who, with failing fighting the big bad guy, and 15 years later, this girl comes into her life and kind of blows it up. So it's a comedy, and it's like 8-9 hours worth of comedy, and it's going to be out October 5th. But Neil Gaiman's in it, Sean Astin, Will Wheaton, London Hughes, Lily Pichu, who's a big streamer, a lot of and Alan Tudyk, Weird Al. It's just awesome. So anyway, it's out, but what it is. But all I can say is that you could download the first episode for free now. Also, it is like a TV show that's audio, and I could talk about it. It's like a different SAG contract. So
yeah, I think they qualify that. Now, here's the thing, because you know me, I've been trying to get into the Writers Guild. It's like the Illuminati for me. I still haven't figured out the right way or how to get in, because I have so many different kinds of projects, but they're not like a TV show. Like, it's an animated that was optioned and then unoptioned. And then
Yeah.
I do a bunch of I do a bunch of podcast stuff, which doesn't count. Even scripted unless a studio is paying for it. So like a big studio, not like something I make up. Like it's got to be a big
It has
studio.
to be like a big one that we can't talk about. But yeah, I mean that really actually
Exactly.
it made much more fun at Comic-Con because I talked to one of the programming heads and she was like, we only canceled 1% of the panels. And all the smaller panels were totally full this time in Hall H. They weren't in Ballroom 20 for the most part. There were very few there were some screenings there, but and like people were going and exploring other things like comic writers and genre writers and cosplay and we could talk about. And it was actually really wonderful. And Artist Alley was so full, and all the vendors had so much cool stuff. And I went shopping like 3 times, and I got me and my kid a lot of really cool stuff. So I have to say, and I didn't have to worry about rushing off to a Hollywood party, and if I looked pretty enough for it, I was like, this is who I am. And I walk down the street and I see somebody I know, and we go grab a drink, and then I go to another person and I go to bed early, and it was like so fun. So I'm hoping to persuade Will Wheaton to go back because honestly, he so anti Comic Con, but I think it's because the douche factor got so big the last like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that maybe next year we can persuade him to come back down.
I can't speak for Will, but I do similar viewpoints about Comic Con, and I've been going to Comic Con since 1995, 96.
Are you kidding? Wow, Bonnie.
So I used to go first as just like a regular fan, and then because I was still doing the Betty Page lookalike kind of thing. God, who was I there for? I don't know. It was something. I wasn't a booth babe, but I was there I was supporting Luchadoras. There was like female masked Mexican wrestler group, and then eBay. That's where they like did their first big thing at Comic-Con because eBay. A lot of people were using it to buy rare comics, so they were.
Wow.
And I was still with At Home Network, which was broadband YouTube basically, and before YouTube existed. And so I was there representing that. And then it was comics, comic art, maybe some authors, but to be honest, no movies, no TV, no gaming, none of that. And it was also an era where Stan Lee would be autographing and the Artist Alley or somewhere like that. Wow. Not even like a big thing.
Wow.
And a long line of dudes. And if he saw any women in line, which was just like 3 or 4 of us, he'd have us sit with him.
That sounds like Stan.
So he could like talk to us about stuff. And he wasn't creepy about it. It was just like Grandpa
he's
Stan
so
Lee.
Sweet. Oh my God! I had the worst Stan Lee experience.
What happened?
I had the worst experience with him. It was
I
don't know if you know probably the backstory of the elder abuse that happened, and exploitation of him. And
all too well.
I knew those people who handled him. They were in my phone, and panel with him a week after his wife passed away, and I saw him coming, and I was like, Stan, what are you doing? And he looked like, I don't know, they may become. And I will never forget those words from him.
Yeah.
I was stabbed in the heart by like shock. But then I'm like, what can I do? Who's that? And then we just went on Stan Lee, on stage.
Yeah.
But off stage, he was broken. And I was like, what can I do? I can't do it. I mean, I didn't ever, like, when all that stuff came out, it just like made me cry so bad because I could remember that moment. Who made you come to this? Who made you do this?
Yeah.
It broke my heart.
I mean, I did a show for him.
Oh yeah, on his YouTube.
I did. His YouTube company. It was at the time when all studios wanted something to do on YouTube that was YouTube, because YouTube was making all this money and taking away views and all that from regular TV. So I hired by Stan Lee to create a show. I just did one season. It's on YouTube. You can find it.
World of Heroes.
World of was his network name, the YouTube channel name. That was Stan Lee's company. And then I did a show, Geek DIY, where I had people that I knew come on to do, usually people who don't like to do crafts. The Will Wheaton one's hilarious because I think I started glitter fight with him, and he has strong views that are anti-glitter, so that was that he was very doing that. And also Grant Imahara and I built a really crappy robot costume that I forced him to wear.
It was a very cute
show.
show.
So it's a cute show, and it lasted one season, and I did press for it, and also Adrian Mark Hamill had a show, so we were doing
Jenna Bush. There were a bunch of really cool people who had shows
Jenna had an interview show with him. So for that, I think 40th birthday, the year that Lucasfilm booted me out of the company, and I remember a big panel, or maybe it was the second biggest one, and it was my birthday, and Stan Lee had the crowd sing happy birthday to me, and because Mark Hamill was there, and then off stage he's like super spry, super like it. But then there would be kind of these moments, and I noticed this in my own mom, who's going kind of through this herself right now. He'll forget. It'll be short-term memory loss. So he'll say goodbye to you or hug you like it's the first time, and it's like the third time. But he's still very on it. He knows all the history. Long-term is fine. Short-term, not so much. And the people that were handling him at the time seemed okay. But, when the show canceled.
I don't know what's going on with the glitching. For some reason, Bonnie and I are fine here. It's a Twitch issue, or it's a Riverside out to Twitch issue. So I'm so but the audio on it sounds good. So hopefully the upload of the podcast, hi guys, will be fine. So anyway,
is it like other things that if we turn the video off, audio it'll be fine, or no?
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. We're having tech issues all day, and
okay. Anyway,
I don't know. The basically, FM is a really cool way to be able to podcast, but also they have a very high quality audio output that will regulate the levels for you. And so I just basically press the button and I upload it so that people on the podcast feed can enjoy it. But it does the optimal streaming experience because we can't have an opening card.
I don't honestly. I don't know how we did Vaginal Fantasy Romance Book Club for 69 episodes with 4 in Google Hangout that would go to YouTube and have no tech.
Really well.
We had 0 tech issues. 0.
Yeah.
No glitching, no audio problem. Nothing. The only problem is the first episode. The first episode when we invited everyone by accident, remember?
But also, there was no way to just get the audio out, and that's why we out of it, because it was there just wasn't the tech to peel out audio, which now there is for some reason the live streaming part. Anyway,
and this started as audio only, so I don't know.
It did.
Whatever.
Anyway, okay, so we don't have very much time for this book, but let's talk about Trixie and Katya's. This is Bonnie's pick, and do you want to tell me why you picked this book?
I think all of us deal with this on a creative people, non-creative people, this thing called depression, and I feel like everything's against me. I made the mistake of reading bad YouTube comments, or it's just life in general, right? I personally love humor. I love a book that is clearly should not be taken literally, that has that's going to make me laugh out loud. And I particularly like books that are pretending to be self-help books that are clearly maybe not the best advice. And this is one of my favorites. Also, full disclosure, with these drag queen, basically they're drag queens that were in RuPaul's Drag Race, the very popular series. Both of them have won either All-Stars or their own seasons or whatever. And they became friends when they met each other on the show, and then ended up doing a YouTube show called where they just pick a topic and then talk about it for 12 minutes. It's on YouTube, and I believe World of Wonder, World Presents, the RuPaul channel that you can subscribe to. But
yeah.
And they also have a thing on Netflix, Still Watching Netflix YouTube channel.
Netflix, yeah.
Where it's once a month, they pick Netflix and in real time, not the whole episode, but just bits, and comment on it in a very hilarious way. And so if you can watch that, that's how I determine whether I want to watch some of these reality shows like Love is Blind and all that. They wrote this book because they both, especially Trixie, that's this one. She's a Barbie fan. She probably saw her in all the press for the Barbie movie, but she is into like homemaking, vintage homemaking, cooking books, all that. Kind of like what Amy Sedaris made fun of in her books.
Yeah.
And then Katya, I kind of relate to more because she's kind of the goth friend and she's closer to my age. I think she's at the bottom end of Gen X or top end millennial. I'm not sure how that, but she has a very weird sense of humor and they just gel well together on camera. But I really like the book because it's not just, they interview each other. And when they interview each other, I think you get
the interviews were the interview part of the book.
Yeah,
I want to say something.
Okay, go for it. Let's hear it.
I had never seen Trixie and Katya's. I had never seen without having seen them. I was a little confused about the tone, and then I went and watched a bunch of their stuff. I'm like, oh, I get it now. So read this book, definitely take in some Trixie and Katya content before you read, because I would understand the sense of humor. But then when I got to the conversation, I was like, can the whole thing be this? And then I retrospectively was like, oh, this is. But I will be honest with you, I've never seen Drag Race. I am not. Okay. I have little to no knowledge of drag and drag culture, and I feel very intimidated. And I think that's why I never got into it, because I'm like, unless you know everything, it's almost like, like Warhammer or something. Like, I don't understand. Drag culture is huge. I mean, it's
right.
Like a huge part of. So, for you to gently hold my hand, what should I start? My dragification.
You know what?
It's drag education.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's ballroom gay culture was a little bit different. The series Pose, I don't know if you've watched that, with Billy Porter and amazing actors and actresses.
I do want to watch it because I've heard amazing things about it.
Yeah, I think you can find the whole thing on Netflix. I think there's 3, and it takes place in the 70s, 80s, I think 80s and 90s. But that is more, that's kind of like part of drag culture is the knowing that history. Room, and it's predominantly, I would say, people of color, like Latinx, and those are the ones that did ballroom, but they do drag too, but trans friendly before that was even a thing to consider. That trans kids felt very safe there. So I commend it, and I always love it. I always feel kind of weird because I'm like the bisexual white girl that likes it, so I don't want to be like, this is my group, but to know your history, right? To know all this stuff that now has kind of formed what the beginning of drag was. And then you see old drag from like the 50s and 60s, and it's almost like style, so it's not quite there yet. And then RuPaul came on the scene. RuPaul, and not to bring up Mama Ru's age, but RuPaul's been around for a while, and she was part of the 80s club kid scene in New York. I was part of the club kid scene in Denver, which is not that great, but I grew up with drag queens when I was at raves, and I was a go-go dancer, and I was half of our dance troupe, if you call it that, were drag. And so I learned how to put on false eyelash. My first hallucinogens with drag queens. Like, it's just the whole thing was so part of my life, even though I'm not a drag queen.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Yeah, but RuPaul brought it in mainstream in the 90s. So Ru had like hit albums and all that. Drag Race was kind of making fun, not making fun of, but mirroring America's Next Top Model. Yeah, with drag queens. And if you watch Drag Race, even just one season, you can watch the most recent.
I am never going to say no to a competition show. So
I will probably recommend the season where Trixie and Katya met. Violet Chachki, who's amazing. She's like the
3.
I think it's 7. Okay. It's either 5 or 7. I'll put it.
Okay.
Yeah, and so because it's a little choppy in the beginning season, so you kind of want to get to this season where Katya and Trixie are, so that's part of our book. But the thing with drag, it's more mainstream now than I think it ever was, and I think that's in part to YouTube culture and also streaming and also all these things where people are discovering drag as straight people, and they're not realizing this is a whole big history. So you have your comedy queens, which would be Trixie and Katya, and then you have your fashion queens who are they could look like glamorous, beautiful pageant women, and Violet Chachki is like the diva
But does
drag and
but do they have like is that the thing they have one look? Like they have their look, which is this alternate
sometimes,
person?
but it will yeah. So I'm trying to find a good.
I'm so dumb about this. I feel stupid, but I
You're
feel
not
like
dumb. You're so not dumb, and keep in mind, I wasn't born with this knowledge, and I came to it sooner than you. But you came to gaming. Like you would have the same conversation with me if I ask you about video game stuff. I'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So like this is Trixie's look. It's very
Janelle in chat recommends that Dimension 20 is doing Dungeons and Drag Queens right now, and
they are.
Which I really want to watch.
And I've been retweeting them on YouTube so you can see, or on Twitter so you can see bits and pieces. It's so good, and those are some of the best queens because you have Bob the drag queen who's very funny. You have you don't have Trixie and Katya, but you also have Jujubee who's hilarious. You have Monet Exchange, and then you also have Alaska. So in a documentary that's on a streaming channel I probably shouldn't be mentioning, that it talks about the adult film store that was very popular in LA that went under recently. So anyway, I'm so hyper talking about this because I'm so excited to have people learn about this for the first time. If you don't know what I'm talking about,
Drag Race, and I feel left out when everyone's like, "You watch Drag Race too?" I'm like, but I don't. I have not watched television, but I'm like, for sure, okay. I would rather watch Drag Race than, you know what I'm saying? Which I need to watch both of them, but.
Yeah, and if you don't, I haven't watched. We could talk about The Bear another time because that's like too stressful for me to watch just from the camera edits. But anyway, with Drag Race, you can watch it on YouTube. There's a RuPaul Drag Race channel on YouTube, so you don't have to go to whatever streaming site it's streaming on or it's at. If you want to see the international Drag Race, they also have clips on there. I know.
Fun.
Let me tell you, Drag whole other level, and they're beautiful costumes, and
but like is it costume? So like they have, but that's what I'm saying. Is it an alter ego? Like one who they're not having multiple drags or do
it's like it's kind of like when you have a right. So RuPaul so RuPaul has
RuPaul.
But also
I don't even know
out of drag, he still refers to himself as RuPaul. Drag queens that are very, very different in and out of drag, and I think you see that in the makeup.
I saw that
where you see her as.
I watched a bunch of their videos too. Like I got educated in a way where all their stuff
now. They do a podcast.
I know my friend too. My friend Tom Link knows that. So.
Oh yeah, they're very. Doesn't know them personally, but when he went to Drag Queen, he got a drag makeover. That was awesome. So that you should ask Will about his drag makeover.
I want to see some pictures.
I'll share that on Twitter. But this you can kind of see the male version of Trixie, but
I watched I stalked their Instagram, so I'm like, I know what they look like in and out of drag, which is like fashion. Yeah. I mean, it's just cool. It's so
and they're
cool.
Podcasts like this, but as themselves, not in drag. So Trixie Mattel has a certain.
I got you.
She's a country singer as well. So Trixie Mattel is like Dolly Parton drag, which I guess is redundant, but it's Dolly Parton type drag, and she's a great singer. I really like her music. It kind of sounds like country Weezer, and she performs tours and all of that in drag, but she has a certain look that's evolved a little bit, but stays the same. And then with Katya, she just looks like a beautiful woman. There's not a lot of, but she's dancer and she's hilarious as well. So you have all these personas.
They're both hilarious. Yeah, of course. They're both hilarious. And I liked in the book where they're talking about fashion and things like that, and you're kind of getting a glimpse of like when I'm Trixie, this is how I like to do. And when I'm just, out of drag, this is what I like, gray, cashmere sweaters. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And the topics in this book are actually, I personally information section where it's all these things you can say in the mirror, including what does a teenager sound when it's buried alive. That one's hilarious, but it's humor, but it's also there's some peppering of facts. I think the drug section's very accurate. The out section's very, very accurate of whiskey versus bourbon, which vodka versus gin. It's like kind of a comic way of explaining the differences, but very, and they also, because their career section was so popular, they wrote an that's the Working Girl's Guide to Professional Womanhood, which is even that's all about work. And that one got me through unemployment depression pretty fast. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just like them. I wanted to and including Felicia to this world.
I mean,
but
I am like a neophyte, and I love kind of depth. And also, I'm like, the more I know, I'm like, why would anybody have a problem with this? Like, it's just
that
having fun. Like, this is weird to me. Very.
Yeah, I mean, that was another reason I recommend. In a culture right now, and I don't want to give it too much hype, but I think it's more political gimmicking and bandstanding, and of course,
yes,
children, because a big thing is, especially here now, drag queens at bookstores reading children's books to kids. Don't care. Kids just think they're clowns. They don't think, oh, this is
or kids think they're just dressing.
Yeah.
It would be no different from a woman who dresses like that, or like a man who dresses, what is the big deal? They're in a costume almost, but they're just dressed up.
It's also in your face, weird. And it's also like, gay culture is there's always going to be people who think it's evil, we're going to hell, yada, yada, yada. But they think drag queens are like the ambassadors or the recruiters of being gay, which is quite the opposite. So
y'all, we have a lot more bigger problems to worry about. The water in Florida is like and so it's going to bleach all the coral, all the animals are going to die there. There's no action against hurricanes because the coral is going to go all away. Like there was and I hate to be like this. I don't know why I'm in a mood right now, but it's very interesting articles about MIT projections from like 30 years ago about the civilization as we know it is going to end in 2040. They ran all these, and they just reran all that stuff about 3 years ago, and they were like, yeah, it's still going to happen. And I'm like, great, the breakdown of society. Like, what does that mean? We don't know, but there's for great things. And I'm like, can we just not sex lives? Do you really think that it's the worst thing in the world that your kid's going to get exposed to something they don't know about that, might show them some options for being truly authentic? Guys, let's maybe look a little more globally right now. So,
yeah,
and the Atlantic Gulf Stream is collapsing. Great, Laura.
I mean, exactly. I would rather stare at these two sleeping than care about the end of times. But also, here's the thing with end of times: we don't know when they're going to happen. We don't know how they're going to happen. We survived our first big plague, this generation's first big plague, so that's cool. Well, quotes, but.
Versions of everything will survive, but like it's very scary.
It's scary,
and it's not like we didn't know about this since the 60s. And it's like, but I read a really interesting quote, like, nobody's a hero for preventing something from happening. You're only a hero for fixing something that already went wrong. So nobody preventing anything is a hero. So I guess we need the heroes to step up now, because it's kind of
there should be a positive. There should be an equally positive name for someone who's not necessarily a hero, but learns how to positively adapt and evolve with the situation, because everyone wants to be a hero, but no one wants to take huge risks with their lives and their family lives. So for me, it's about, okay, I try to show positivity in everything. I try, even when I'm at my worst bad mood, depression, I'll try to think of something that's uplifting for myself and others. And I know that sounds lofty and kind of Pollyanna, but drag is that for me. Drag is kind of, I kind of a bad drag queen most of the time I have makeup on, but I try to, I use drag as a way
about yourself.
Well, I don't have any makeup on now except for lipstick, because it's like 500 degrees in my apartment right now. But what I love about drag is that it's fun. They are creative. They have like all the challenges of every reality show, but in one show. So they have fashion challenges, makeup, acting, singing, everything. It's like a fun escape from when the world's going to end. There'll be drag race number 150. We can still watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's all good. I love, and thank you and also the more you know about subcultures or people's lives and why they do things, you empathize with them, the more you can associate with them, the more you can involve their worlds in your lives. And like no one is lessened for that. So I just and I subscribe to everything they do now, and I'm totally going to listen to their podcast. Because now, what I really wanted after watching their stuff is like a real serious like biography. Because there's a drug abuse in here, and I love how they have this sort of tongue-in-cheek stuff, but they're not ever get like, hey, it's cool to do drugs. You know, they were actually discouraging about everything, even like, you know,
I'm going to give you a little tiny bit of insight on that because of their background. Trixie drugs at all, and I think she discovered edibles because of her, you know, being friends with Katya. Katya had a very horrible meth addiction.
That's what I got the impression.
Yeah, but things. I mean, she's just now quitting smoking, which is driving her crazy. But she just stopped meth, and there was this great documentary that came out about Trixie Mattel's music tour and just in general their friendship. And there's a scene that's so scary, and I've had this happen. They're, you know, basically enwrapped in drugs and they can't get out, where Katya yells at Trixie because she doesn't want to do anymore because her YouTube show had just been bought by Vice and they were going to do that on Vice. And she walks out screaming at her. And it's all stuff that really isn't about Trixie. It's just when you are on drugs, you lash out at people you. But she got help. She has been in recovery for a long time. So when you see that section and her talking about it, at the very end, she does say it's not worth it. Drugs aren't worth it, but it's good to know that.
No, I appreciate that. Okay, well, we're gonna doing this like sharing your knowledge. Also, your mic and your camera looks awesome. Having
Mike,
amazing. So thank you.
New microphone, new video, new hair. I just got my hair redid, so you don't have to see roots like usual. And
it's really cute.
I'm wearing new lipstick. This is all for you. This is for watching this video myself. So be kind.
You are. This is a turning. I got an award.
Yay! Awards.
I picked up a book that's probably a very different from what we've read, but not really. But it's also very literarily. It's called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's by Gabrielle Zevin, and she wrote it knowing that this was going to be a huge hit. It won It was the winner for the best fiction of the Goodreads Choice Awards. It won so many other awards, and it's about a couple. It's like spans 30 years. It's about two people who kind of make a blockbuster game and how it affects their lives. And I'm really excited to read it. And so that is going to be our next pick, to be hanging out and talking about it the last weekend in August, which will be August 9th at 6:30. And so please join us again. I'm really excited about this next book. So yeah, read with us.
Yeah, right? I'm excited too, because like drag queen stuff to you, video, tabletop. But video game stuff, especially current video game stuff, because I think the last game I ever played was Animal Crossing, and that's so. You know, this is a world that I need to learn about, especially because I'm now writing for mobile games and now hopefully video games. I kind of need to know how to do this thing and appreciate it before I dive in.
I'll give you all your tip stuff. All right, you guys, we'll see you later. Bye.